Quindi ci
Hello.
siamo live. Ciao a tutti, ciao a tutti e tutte, benvenuti e benvenute. Oggi siamo insieme ad MT Anderson e a Jo Rioux e insieme parliamo delle Figlie di Ys. Hello MT, hello Joe. It's so good to finally meet you, even though we're not meeting in person, unfortunately. And
Yes.
first of all, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. October is my favorite month, so and it's been okay staying inside, watching scary movies. So I'm doing all right.
And I would be much happier if I were actually in Lucca. From the sounds of it, this city just sounds amazing. And over here in the United States, we miss that kind of antiquity, that sort of medieval antiquity. And I think both Joe and I are big fans of that period. And we just wish we could be there with you all. It would be really exciting.
Yeah, it's all my fault because I've talked about Lucca and the atmosphere and the fair, so blame it on me. But maybe next year, who knows? Who knows?
No, you promised next year.
Yes, I promise. So it's all up to me. Ok. Quindi, just a recap, per tutti quelli e tutte quelle che ci stanno seguendo, questa sera intanto esploriamo insieme Le Figlie di Ys, che esce per Rebelle Edizioni, e vi svegliamo anche la data, ma ve la svegliamo solo più avanti. E insieme quindi introduciamo un po' il mondo di questo fumetto che io ad ora possiedo in inglese, perché in italiano ancora non è uscita, uscirà a gennaio, e intanto vediamo insieme il book trailer del fumetto, della graphic novel. Quindi vediamo se intanto la tecnologia ci assiste. Ok. Ok, breve ma intenso. Aiuto, interrompiamo lo schermo perché stiamo andando. Ok, can you see me? Yes.
Yes.
Ok, allora, prima domanda, quindi insomma, le Figlie di Ys escono in Italia a gennaio, quindi ora gli vado a chiedere qualche informazione in più su come hanno lavorato insieme, sul perché è venuta in mente proprio questa storia che si ispira al folklore bretone e com'è nata un po' la loro collaborazione. So the Daughters of Ys is coming out in January in Italy, so no one knows anything about it. Can you tell us a bit more about the creative process? How did it all start? Why did you choose a Breton folk tale for your collaboration?
So, for me, it came about when I was in Brittany doing research for a different project, completely different project. And one day I found this beautiful bay called the Baie de Trépassé, the Bay of the Dead, which is at the furthest western point of France. So I was just wondering, why did it have this ominous name, the Bay of the Dead? And I asked some people and looked it up in books of Breton folklore. And what it said was that there had supposedly been this ancient city of Ys off the coast there. And that because of the sins of a princess, this city had sunk beneath in times forgotten. And I just found it, the other part of the story that's very important is that supposedly sometimes fishermen can hear the sound of bells ringing far beneath the ocean on stormy nights as the tide washes. and they can hear the singing of that damned princess under the water. So that image of loneliness, of this young woman trapped in a sunken city, was so moving and so intense that I decided to try to do research into this myth and discover what could be the what the story might be like if it were told from her. So I wrote a script, and then the wonderful Jo Rioux illustrated it.
Thank you. And for my part, I found out about it in February 2 years ago, and I was doing a workshop in a school, and during lunchtime, I rarely check my emails when I'm out of the house, because I usually work from home. But this time I decided to check my email, and I had this email from First Second asking if I wanted to work on a book, a graphic novel. So I opened it up and I started reading a script, and I immediately had to excuse myself from the lunchroom and just go outside in the hall to read it, because that first script, that first page of the script just captured me so much. It was this dark and gloomy but really epic feel to it. Because I have that in my blood. I am originally from Brittany. 400 years ago, my ancestors came over from Brittany to Canada. So I have that, lonely cliffsides, like bashed by the sea, inside me. So as soon as I read that script, I knew I had to work on this this project.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And for our Italian readers, l'idea è nata perché MT si trovava in Britannia per delle ricerche personali proprio nella Baia dei Morti, che è la baia dove, nel punto più a est della Francia, proprio dove si dice che insomma sia affondata la leggendaria città di Ys, e si chiedeva anche del perché di questo nome ominioso, insomma questo nome davvero cupo. E così ha scoperto la leggenda e ha scoperto soprattutto di questa principessa che si narra essere crollata sotto le macerie di Ys in fondo al mare. Anche perché a volte si dice che proprio i pescatori, quando vanno al largo della baia, sentono dei canti, sentono delle voci e le riconducono proprio a questa principessa. E questa immagine solitaria, molto, insomma, di questa principessa intrappolata in una città sotterranea gli sembrava potente, gli è venuta voglia di scriverci e di esplorarla ancora di più, e così è nato il primo script delle Figlie di Ys. Così è nata l'idea e l'ha inoltrata a Jo, e invece Jo a febbraio di 2 anni fa stava facendo un workshop in una scuola, non controlla mai la mail, per un caso fortuito in una pausa pranzo l'ha aperta e ha trovato lo script, si è messa a leggerlo ed è rimasta catturata anche lei da questa atmosfera super dark, molto cupa, e insomma, e in qualche modo ha trovato un legame con le sue origini, che sono legate anche a quei territori, eccetera, e questo legame anche con le scogliere, con questi fondali oscuri, insomma, l'ha stimolata, ed è così che poi è partito tutto il progetto. Insomma, super interessante, so thank you, because it was, well, you don't check your emails, but luckily you did, okay?
Yeah, I just happened to be able to connect to Wi-Fi at that time, and
yeah, that's
yeah.
great. And I know that the world will be divided into 2 teams, Team Dahout and Team Rosaine. I am absolutely partial to Dahout. She belongs to my heart, and the sisters are the sisters are very different, but both brave. Our heroines are resolute, determined. What do they represent, and what did you wanted them to express through their characters?
Well, I think in the surviving versions of the myth, or almost all of the surviving versions of the myth, there's only one daughter, and that is the one who in French would be called Daou. And she is a sorceress. And she's usually supposed to be evil. They just portray her as evil. She's a murderess. She's very sexually active, which I think makes the ancient Celts very uncomfortable. So there's only one. So I decided that to really bring out the story, I needed to use one of the versions of it that actually had two sisters, which is based on a French opera version. And so to me, the idea is that the one of them, Rosen, she starts to love sort of the woodlands and the outside and the magic of the natural world, whereas her sister, Dahut, she's more into the sort of the balls and the dances and the pageantry of being a princess, and also though she's into the darkness of magic in a different way. And so, one thing that Jo could talk about is there's an amazing sequence that she drew where she shows the two sisters side by side doing these sort of parallel things as a way of bringing out the differences between them. And maybe Jo could talk more about that.
Yeah, because in the script, it described how the two sisters they're together in childhood, and then they have a rift, and it describes how they slowly move apart from each other. And so I thought it would be interesting to have these comic panels that are showing pretty much exactly that. So in this panel, and I'm kind of breaking some comic rules here where you're not supposed to have like panels move across the page here, but I decided to do that. And so in this panel, they are together, and then after that, they're just going further and further apart into their own worlds. And here I'm kind of trying to mirror their actions so that they're each sleeping in their own way. I'm going to try to hold this upright.
So Dahut sleeping in the sort of in the laboratory where the magic happens, whereas Rosen is sleeping out on the moors of Brittany. Mm-hmm. For example,
to really. And here I wanted this kind of panel to show like they are moving apart, and from then on they went from two sisters that were growing up together to growing up apart, and they're both doing their own thing. Dahut starts to get really into magic and into changing the world around her, commanding the world. And Rosen, wants to explore, befriend, and just exist in the world. And I don't know, Tobin, if you had kind of a favorite of the characters that you wrote. Like, was one of them more fun to write than the others? Are you partial?
Well, I mean, it's more fun to write evil characters, of course.
Oh, of course.
The ones that are really terrible. But on the other hand, I am actually more like Rosen in that I live out in the middle of nowhere in the forest. So, I mean, yeah, but in a way, maybe that's the good part about writing, is that you actually can take a role you would normally be totally uncomfortable actually living.
Yeah. No, and myself, I think I am much more like Rosen. Well, maybe in that I don't have magical powers and I'm not a murderess either. But yeah, I just thought Dahut's character was so compelling. She wants so much, and she wants to she wants this impossible thing, which is for the good to last forever. And, no matter the cost, which is, kind of tragic, but, I like that she's that she desires so strongly. Like I really feel that in her.
Oh, I do. I do feel that. Well, this
Yeah.
is why she's so fascinating. Anyway, for our Italian readers, ho chiesto loro, visto che all'interno della storia ci sono due personaggi assolutamente contrapposti, io dico sempre che il mondo si dividerà in team Dahout e in team Roseanne, che sono le nostre protagoniste. Io sono assolutamente team Dahout e le nostre sorelle sono estremamente diverse, anche se entrambi hanno dei caratteri molto forti. E gli ho chiesto che cosa volevano rappresentare con i due personaggi. E intanto Tobin mi ha raccontato che nella leggenda in realtà c'è una sorella nella maggior parte delle versioni della leggenda, anche se lui ha scelto quella dove in realtà ce ne sono due, proprio perché così si sposava meglio anche con la narrazione. E insomma, Daoud rappresenta la sorella malvagia, anche se, che ricorre alla magia oscura, e anche quella sessualmente libera, che chiaramente per le leggende era un aspetto assolutamente negativo. Invece Roseanne è colei che rappresenta la magia del mondo naturale, l'armonia, insomma sono proprio due opposti e c'è una scena, come ci mostrava prima Jo, dove si vede estremamente la differenza, dove lei la sottolinea anche attraverso le sue tavole, i suoi disegni. E nello script, infatti, loro sono molto vicine nell'infanzia fino a un certo punto dove invece prendono ognuna il suo percorso. E anche attraverso le tavole che occupano più pagine, sono proprio specchiate molte volte in una maniera abbastanza inusuale ed estremamente bella. Questo però è un mio commento in aggiunta. E quindi a un certo punto vediamo Daoud e Roseanne fare le stesse cose, nel senso vivere, dormire, vivere le loro giornate, ma in maniera estremamente diversa, proprio perché da un lato Daoud si cimenta con la magia, ricerca il potere, il successo, vuole comandare il mondo. Roseanne invece passa le sue giornate nella brughiera, in mezzo alla natura, con gli animali, in estrema armonia. Insomma, Tobin dice che è team Roseanne nella vita reale perché vive in mezzo alla natura, però forse Daoud è la persona estremamente più affascinante delle due, anche se poi in realtà anche Roseanne è una persona estremamente forte che cerca il bene più assoluto non solo per lei ma per il suo regno. Going on, we have for every enchantment there is a price, and this is like the bold statement of the graphic novel. This is the premise. The price that Ys is going to pay is very high. The society is used to, have it all consume and getting more and more. And while I was translating, I think I've seen this particular aspect as a metaphor for our society. Maybe it wasn't meant to be that way, but at some point you see the connection. Was it meant to be that way? Was the idea? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for years we've all known that that the culture, the society that we live in is unsustainable, and that in order for us to lead the lives that we are leading right now, in a sense, crimes have to be committed that we don't want to confront. And also, there is a depletion that we don't want to confront. The fact that we are overspending, in a sense, every year when it comes to natural resources or whatever. And so, yeah, I think that it is really important right now to confront the fact that our society is living on borrowed time and that we have the option still to find a different way and to therefore sustain things in other ways, in really important ways. Or we can do what the people of Ys did, which is simply wait until everything falls apart and then ask what happened. And I'm afraid that, at least in my country, in America, we definitely are going for the second option. See, it's even I just realized I'm even wearing red, white, and blue.
Very patriotic of yours.
Oh, thank you. I didn't mean it. But no, I mean, my country really is a good example of that. I mean, there in Italy, you've already gone through one cycle, because in Italy you had the Roman Empire, and you could rise and then fall. We've only had a chance to rise.
Okay. Well, so many cities in Italy were built like 7 or 10 times, which is a huge
Wow.
amount of times. So I think that the perception of having infinite possibilities, something will happen, but not to us, is very vivid, even in our society. But the time is ticking out. I don't know to say that in other words. Quindi per tutti la frase principale che presenta il libro è proprio che per ogni incantesimo c'è un prezzo da pagare, e questa per me, mentre lo stavo traducendo, era un chiaro riferimento anche alla nostra società, che in generale consuma e sembra non avere mai fine, non rendersi mai conto che per tutto ciò che consumiamo, inglobiamo e sputiamo fuori, a un certo punto ci sarà qualcuno che ne paga il prezzo, ovviamente non solo l'ambiente, ma molte altre cose. E volevo capire da loro se è nata con quest'idea in testa la storia di Ys. E in effetti Toby mi stava raccontando che noi generalmente vediamo un sacco di crimini che vengono commessi, soprattutto da questo punto di vista, che non vogliamo mai affrontare, no? Del quale pensiamo di non poter mai pagare il prezzo, e spesso quando ci sono più di un'opzione, quando potremmo avere l'opzione A, che è quella che stiamo cercando di trovare, insomma, per cercare nuove strade, o tornare sulle nostre vecchie abitudini, si tende sempre a non cambiare mai nulla, a non affrontare mai le grandi difficoltà. Quindi insomma ha confermato un po' che sicuramente c'è un'idea di base dentro Ys, che è un po' questa. E poi, parlando ovviamente della situazione americana comparata con quella italiana, ci sono anche cose in comune, chiaramente. And this one is for Jo. You really brought to life the Celtic atmosphere of the story. The characters resembles old English tapestry designs and traditional paintings, and the fairy tale vibe is all there. Precisely. We can show the last. Well, my favorite pages are the last few ones, but we cannot show them. It's spoilers, and no spoilers, no funerals. The colors are magnificent. So, what were your reference? What were you trying to do? What were your inspirations?
I started with this idea where I wanted, because this story has so much to do with the sea. The city is in the waves, and I don't know if you've seen the sea off the coast of Brittany, but it's absolutely amazing. It's wild, and this dark green gray, but then with these beautiful turquoise mixed in, and so I wanted to have like those greenish blues in every page. Like I wanted to have a greenish hue in every page. So that was something I started with. And then when I was doing my research, so I'm going to try to share my screen here. And while I was doing my research on Brittany, let's see, is that? Nope. That's not it. How did you share your screen? I'm not seeing the.
I had a special button. It's called toggle screen sharing.
Okay. I don't think I'll be able to share my screen.
Don't worry.
So I had found some old promotional posters from France for travel to Brittany, and there were these beautiful illustrations with golden hues that and these stylized trees that really impressed on me this feeling of Brittany. And I brought in some of those golden sunlight and dark stormy seas when I did the colors. So I wish I could show them, but I suppose I needed a special link to share my screen. So maybe I'll try and figure that out, and if I can get some screen sharing abilities, I'll show them. But we can move on to another question in the meantime.
Ok, of course. Quindi intanto brevemente ho chiesto intanto a Jo, visto che uno degli aspetti più belli, come già si evince dalla copertina, ok, sono i colori che ha questa graphic novel. Ok, perché come vedete ci sono dei colori abbastanza potenti e per me sono le cose più belle, sono tra gli aspetti più belli di questa storia, e gli ho chiesto da dove avesse preso ispirazione, e Jo mi ha raccontato che i colori sono qualcosa che le è rimasto assolutamente impresso visitando la Costa Bretone, perché dice che sono dei luoghi con dei colori pazzeschi, e lei voleva riprodurre in ogni pagina quei blu e quei verdi assolutamente, che sono così brillanti. E quando stava facendo proprio ricerche riguardo insomma la graphic novel, ha trovato dei vecchi poster del turismo dell'area, proprio degli anni passati, che le sono rimasti un sacco impressi, e quello è stato un'altra delle sue ispirazioni. Adesso stiamo cercando di condividere il suo schermo, così potete vedere anche qualche disegno preparatorio e anche qualche riferimento, così vedete anche dal vivo. Intanto, meanwhile, while Jo is coming back, ok. Ok. Allora, quindi, Tobin, I have a question for you. What are the main differences between writing a novel and writing a graphic novel?
Well, I mean, the way that you write a graphic novel is in a format kind of like a script, like a Hollywood script. And so, you know, and one of the things that you're really trying to do as a writer in a graphic novel is leave room open for a wonderful artist like Jo to actually to create the world herself. I mean, so the idea is that, and I really want to say this for people in the audience who might be trying to write a graphic novel themselves or with a friend or whatever. I think one of the things that's really cool about collaboration is that when the two of you work together, the two of you together go someplace that neither of you could have found yourself. So if you open up to what the other person suggests, you know, they nudge you and you nudge them, and it's back and forth, and then suddenly you discover it going in a very different way than you anticipated. I have another book which has been translated into Italian that Rizzoli published. In English, it's called The Assassination of Brangwen Spurge. One second. In Italian, it's called La guerra segreta tra elfi e goblin. So anyway, anyway, but so it was done. It's kind of like a graphic novel, and then half of it is in pictures done by a Russian friend of mine, Eugene Yelchin. And so, for example, for that book, it was very cool because as we wrote it, we discovered the plot, with him doing illustrations for every other chapter and me doing text for every other chapter. And it was really, and with Jo, I had a great experience with both of them, which is not always the case with collaboration. Sometimes it can be, you know, sometimes you discover that things aren't going to work out. But in both of these cases, I felt like by the end of the project, it had arrived somewhere that I never could have predicted on my own. And that is what is so exciting about collaboration and why I would recommend it for those of you out there who are thinking about this?
Oh, that's so great. Allora, gli ho chiesto brevemente qual è la maggiore differenza tra lo scrivere un romanzo e lo scrivere invece una graphic novel. E la prima cosa che mi ha detto è stato che sicuramente bisogna sempre trovare nella propria scrittura un bilanciamento giusto per lasciare lo spazio e dare spazio ad artisti e autori come Jo, e farli esprimere al meglio. E la cosa fighissima anche per tutti quelli che stanno seguendo, che probabilmente sognano di disegnarne una, insomma, sognano di scrivere una graphic novel, è che le collaborazioni sono fighissime, perché quando si lavora insieme si va verso di direzioni inaspettate. Adesso sta per uscire un'altra sua collaborazione con che è pubblicata in Italia da Rizzoli e si chiama La guerra segreta tra Elfi e Goblin, che è disegnata insieme a Evgeny Yelchin. Ok.
Yes.
E cioè, diceva che mentre lo stava scrivendo, proprio per quanto sono inaspettate, insomma, le strade che si possono prendere insieme, mentre lo stavano scrivendo hanno capito che dove doveva andare la trama, quindi non era nulla di prevedibile. E a volte nelle collaborazioni si scopre che le cose non funzionano, ma non è mai quello il problema, perché alla fine si scopre sempre un processo inaspettato, un processo sorprendente e che insomma ti porta sempre dove non potevi immaginare, quindi questa è una cosa molto stimolante per Tobin. Okay. I don't think Jo has a working website, but okay. So I'm going to Jo. Can you share your
I think
screen?
I'm back.
Can you share your
We're
screen?
finding a workaround.
Okay,
There's
so
a
I'll
million
talk
ways to do
about-
things.
Okay, I'll briefly talk about the translation, if you're okay with that.
Oh,
Ok,
great.
allora.
Yeah.
Adesso vi racconto un pochino della traduzione, visto che erano arrivate tante domande anche su questo. Diciamo che la traduzione di una graphic novel sicuramente è molto diversa dalla traduzione di un romanzo per molti aspetti, però ci sono cose che secondo me sono imprescindibili. Intanto, essendo anche una leggenda, essendo una fiaba popolare, per me era essenziale mantenere il tono dei personaggi, perché varia molto a seconda di chi sta parlando e quindi chiaramente si parla di re, regine, entità magiche, e dall'altro invece di comuni uomini e donne, insomma, un po' più comuni. E in più, proprio perché si parla di regine, entità magiche, eccetera, era necessario preservare quell'aura magica di tutta la storia. Quindi in realtà, anche se le figlie di Ys non sono mai completamente staccate dalla realtà, ma a loro modo sono, come dire, molto pratiche e terra, perché bisogna, questo è termine tecnico, sono spiritose, sono divertenti, insomma, sono due personaggi che io spero amerete molto quanto le ho amate io. Però si tratta pur sempre di un racconto fiabesco, un racconto della tradizione bretone. Quindi, secondo me, alcuni elementi non potevano assolutamente essere modificati trasponendo dall'inglese all'italiano, quindi spero che ritroverete chiaramente l'aura magica e il tono che avranno molti personaggi, che sarà sicuramente diversa da quello, insomma, l'uno dall'altra, proprio perché sono così particolari, proprio come tutti i personaggi. E questo è brevemente quello che posso dirvi sulla traduzione senza entrare assolutamente negli spoiler e nei dettagli. I have a question for Jo. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to, change your style or adapt your style to, approach or to draw something about a legend, about a traditional folk tale, or was it, I don't know, it was even easier for you, or maybe easier is not the right word, but let's say it was something you wished for.
Yeah, I definitely wished for this opportunity, so I'm really glad it came. It just was a happy marriage of all of these things that I love. Like, I love magic, I love old folk tales, old legends. I love, depicting nature, and especially like, rolling hills and roiling seas. So that, I thought I was like, I felt in my element when I did that. And as far as the style goes, about 3 or 4 years ago, my style, I started to change up my style. I wanted to develop a more distinctive style, and that's what I picked up. This terracotta pencil that you can see really in all of my throughout the book. You'll see that there's just these reddish undertones to everything. And oh, are we screen sharing?
Yes, we're screen sharing. Surprise, surprise.
All right. Okay, so I finally I uploaded my images on the web, and now someone else is screen sharing them. So this is my work process. This is the sketch page, one of the sketch pages, and as you can see, it's really sketchy. I'm using lots of lines. I wanted a lot of movement in this graphic novel. And if we can go to the next one, hopefully they're in order. Whoever's in charge of the images, can we go to they are not in order. We are just going to look through this like I'm showing my images from the trip.
Ok, questo è uno di quei poster che vi dicevo prima che hanno ispirato Jo per il disegno, per i colori. Ok. So sorry, I was just translating. This is one of the posters you were referring to before, right?
Yes. And I just thought it was such a great designs. Like they do have those trees over there that are just, really enchanting, and with the sea in the background. There's another one of a castle in the sunset. If someone can find that and put it up on the screen. Yeah, that's the one. And so, I mean, look at those colors. They are just amazing. And so I tried to go for these, these really stark contrasts. And I love that golden light at the end of the day. So I have quite a few scenes with that in there. So yeah, those were my inspirations for the colors. So, and it also has that reddish, those reddish undertones in there that I put in pretty much all of my pieces now. So I think that my style had gotten to the point where this book was a perfect project for me. I think it was happy coincidence. So.
Oh, this is
here we have
the pencil you will.
Yes, so this is you can see the terracotta pencil in there, and this is the first drawing that I did of Jo Rioux. When I got brought on the project, they wanted me to show what the characters would look like in the book, and I rarely have the characters come together so easily. I mean, usually there's I go through a few iterations, but this time, I drew Jo Rioux. I knew exactly what she was going to look like, and this is what I had in mind. And she would have these flowing robes, and she'd have, this seductive look to her eyes. And I did all of those sketches in the way that I like to work, which is the terracotta pencil, the black color erase pencil. I've actually got my working instruments here. And then I do my colors in Photoshop. So this is my terracotta color erase pencils. They are erasable colored pencils that I discovered when I was going to animation school. And I started out with blue, and then went on to black, and then terracotta, and terracotta and black are my absolute favorite to work with. And then I inked the whole thing with Prismacolor Premier pen in size 01. So it's very, very fine. And I find it just complements the sketchiness of the pencil so well. Sorry, you went kind of all over the place there. But
don't
I think
worry,
we got a
don't
good
worry.
look.
I'm going to translate a little bit. Allora, intanto avevamo chiesto a Jo, e prima c'erano stati qualche problemino sulle varie ispirazioni per condividere lo schermo, ma finalmente siamo riusciti a vederle, così ci ha condiviso un po' il suo processo. Io le avevo anche chiesto, che era una domanda che era arrivata nei giorni scorsi su Rebelle Edizioni, se aveva dovuto in qualche modo adattare il suo stile per disegnare una leggenda. E in realtà lei ha detto che questo era un po' il suo progetto ideale, perché era diverso tempo che aveva cambiato un po' il suo stile, cercando di renderlo sempre più distinguibile, e ha adottato questa matita in terracotta e ora la usa in tutto. E in pratica questo è diventato il suo elemento dentro questa storia, era davvero di nuovo il progetto perfetto. E queste matite che usa, che abbiamo visto nei vari disegni, sono cancellabili e lei le usa per tutte le bozze. Dopo la colorazione la fa in Photoshop, e invece le linee, quelle di demarcazione più vivide, lo fa con una Prismacolor Premier super super sottile, così ha delle linee abbastanza nette. Questo insomma è un po' il suo processo. Abbiamo visto diverse tavole e anche come cambiano nella colorazione, sono super affascinanti. Secondo me i disegni sono uno degli aspetti più affascinanti di tutta la novella. Ok, I don't know how much time we have left. From the chat we see how good at drawing is Jo. Yeah, 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes left. Okay, so how long did it take to you to write the novel? And then drawing, and then the whole process?
Yeah, I'm afraid that Jo did much more work than I did. So that's one of the problems with being the artist.
You want to be the artist?
Yeah. Well, so yeah. How long did it take you to actually write it? Because I mean, it took me about maybe I'd say like 7 months straight of work, and then some waiting in between. Oh. Wait, I can't hear you. Oh, there we go.
We couldn't hear you. Now we do.
Okay. It took me perhaps, it took me perhaps a month to write.
Okay.
But a lot of it was just thinking of the idea in advance. I mean, consider every detail that's there on the page you have to create. Whereas I can simply say, 2-page spread of a magnificent city.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your problem.
No, and it's the thing about graphic novels is that they take so long to make, and then they take so little time to read. And I get people sending me messages. I loved your book. I read it all in an afternoon. And I'm like, that took me 8 months to make. But you gotta love them. I love graphic novels.
I've thought that a good graphic novel could be made out of the great Italian epic Ariosto's Orlando Furioso. But the problem is that it would take about 3 graphic novelists 3 of their lifetimes to actually turn it into a book. And then it would take someone an afternoon to read. So
yeah.
Allora, ho chiesto loro più o meno quanto ci hanno messo a scrivere e poi a disegnare la graphic novel, e Jo ci ha impiegato circa 7 mesi di lavoro, e mentre ovviamente poi ci sono stati diversi mesi di attesa, di riadattamento, eccetera, mentre per scriverlo Tobin ci ha messo un mese, però non è stato un mese solo di scrittura, è un mese dedicato anche a tutti i dettagli, all'ideazione, al pensare ad ogni minimo particolare del libro, che andava poi messo in ogni pagina. E poi Jo ci teneva a dire che le graphic novel hanno questo problema, richiedono tantissimo lavoro sia agli artisti che a chi scrive. Poi una volta che lo mandi, insomma, lo fai uscire, tutti i suoi amici ad esempio le dicevano che bello, è bellissimo, l'ho letto in un'ora, l'ho letto in un pomeriggio e insomma tantissimo lavoro che ovviamente si esaurisce in un tempo abbastanza breve. E in più Tobin ci diceva che sarebbe fighissimo esplorare anche alcune delle storie della tradizione italiana, come ad esempio l'Orlando Furioso, e che ci vorrebbero davvero volumi e volumi e un sacco di lavoro e poi ti sentiresti dire l'ho letto in un'ora, l'ho letto in un pomeriggio, che è un po' sempre una cosa che ritorna. Ok, I think we're almost at the end of our conversation. We have a big announcement to make because no one knows when it's coming out in Italy. So we are revealing when it's coming out. Per tutti quelli che ci stanno seguendo c'è una cosa che ancora non abbiamo detto, cioè quando esce Le Figlie di Ys, e quindi lo stiamo per rivelare, e il 20 gennaio esce Le Figlie di Ys, quindi segnatevelo, mi raccomando, perché insomma dopo aver fatto questa chiacchierata, insomma, speriamo di avervi incuriositi e incuriosite. So, I hope that after this chat, everybody will rush to pre-order our...
I hope so too.
Yes, we hope so that.
We're just hoping that you invite us next year to Lucca so we can see the city and meet people in person. Yeah.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Finger crossed, because we need to have Lucca back again in the city.
Yeah.
We can wait. And I think, I have to thank you so much, Tobin, and thank you so much, Jo, for being here. It's been
Thank you, Tiffany.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for translating.
It was so great to talk to you.
No, so I cannot wait for people to read it, because it's such a fun read, and I really can wait for Italian audience to finally have their copy. And the Italian edition will be bigger.
Oh.
It's going to be bigger.
I've got the maybe as big as the French edition.
Yes, exactly. It's going to be big.
It's
We like it.
so-
That was terrible.
It's so nice. This is like a huge tome.
Wow. I haven't seen the French edition. That's great.
I'll hold
Well,
it up
thank you
for
so much.
Yes, thank you so
Yes,
much.
because we wanted to show a bit more every drawing, every sentence, so that people will follow the story even a bit more in detail. So I really can't wait. So thank you again. And I hope to see you next year. And until then,
Yes.
we'll let you know. Maybe we can... I'm doing the anarchist. I am. Maybe we can organize something in the next few months. Okay, after the graphic novel is out, it will be a pleasure.
Oh, cool. Yes.
So thank you
That
very
would be
much
amazing.
again. Yes.
Thank you.
So, grazie a tutti grazie a tutti e a tutte per aver partecipato con noi a questa chiacchierata. Speriamo di avervi tenuto compagnia, avervi incuriositi e incuriosite. Fateci sapere, insomma, mi raccomando, Le Figlie di Ys il 20 gennaio arriva in Italia, quindi ci aspettiamo, insomma, non vediamo l'ora, noi non vediamo l'ora. Quindi niente, vi ringraziamo tantissimo e direi che ci vediamo presto.